All right, so this is video 3 of our three-part series on the American Dlx Strat Plus guitar. And that's this guitar right here in this beautiful Mystic Ice Blue Metallic.
Don't believe him. It looks pewter there. It's pewter.
Mystic Ice Blue Metallic. I'll talk with you later, sir. Anyway, so we kind of want to, we've gone over the description of the guitar, what it has, and kind of went over the tonal qualities of the guitar. And we're really sorry that the mic on the phone, it's my cell phone that we're using, is not the best, but it's what we got. But for the final video, we're going to go over our final thoughts, what we really liked, things we liked that were really well done, and things that we'd like to see Fender kind of do to improve on the guitar. Or things that we think could use some better, quality. So first off, playability.
I really liked the way the neck feels. My hands didn't feel anything crazy, with regard to just, frets sticking out. I mean, I really like the fit and finish. The neck feels really nice. Kind of like all around good traditional,
like a player's guitar.
A player's guitar,
yeah. Something a player would have designed.
I like the fact that the frets aren't too small. What are they? Medium jumbo, right?
Jumbo. Medium jumbo.
They're great. I like it.
Staying in tune, like playability as far as staying in tune.
It's ridiculous. I think it's very stable. We're not doing Van Halen type dive bombs, but
does anyone really do that anymore?
Well, Van Halen does that, so. But
I think he has the right.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm not really, the shredder sort of lead guitar player. I like the more ambient stuff. So that really works out for me. Paris has this thing set up where the bridge is floating. He said he raised it a little bit from factory and put 5 springs in the back, and it feels great with 5 springs. These two
posts have a tendency to be made in such a way that the pivot is at an angle like this. But to actually make it more balanced, and I always raise those a little bit, and going along with the 5 springs, it makes it a nice level playing field, which you now can go back and forward and use the tremolo in both directions. Yeah. And when I use the tremolo, I'm very shimmery about it. I use it very infrequently, but when I do it, I'm not a trem user for the most part, which is one of the reasons I really like the Eric Clapton Stratocaster. Okay, so the pickups. What do you think of the pickups?
I liked it. The standard Fender card, the standard Strat, I guess, card, right? What's it called? Is it the actual standard?
Oh, yeah, the standard card.
Yeah, the standard card.
Personality card.
There you go, the personality
card. They have personality.
Traditional wiring. It didn't sound like anything crazy.
Sound like a Stratocaster.
It sounds like a Strat, so I think that's pretty good. I would probably use, again, like I said in the other video, I'd probably use the, what is it, the cut card? Is that what it was?
Yeah, it was the cutter card, which is
the cutter card, which is currently in the guitar. That's my favorite one of the 3.
That's a lot of people. Believe it or not, I've seen that in a lot of videos. People have said that.
Yeah.
Now, as far as the pickups, the physical appearance, or the sound quality, I like my pickups to sound more what I would consider vintagey 1950s sounding Stratocaster pickups. I also like the lace sensors, which are still pretty clean and bright. I feel that these sound better when there's more output. This is a very modern sounding pickup, but Fender's tried to make it sound as much like a Strat as, all that quack and gloss and chime and bell-like tone that we love. And I think these pickups really do that. At low volume, I think they lose some of that clarity, I think, from my perspective.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is that Paris and I, we go back and forth about this. There's a little point of contention that we occasionally have where a Fender, like a Strat or a Tele, might not sound like a true Tele or a true Strat.
But what does that mean, really?
But it's subjective. So if you've got a kid that just saved up every last penny from a summer job to buy this guitar, well, in his mind, this will always sound like a Strat
for like $14.99, I think.
Right. And if you picked up, late '60s Strat, it might be like, hey, this is really cool, but it doesn't really sound like a Strat. So it all depends on what you're accustomed to.
Mm-hmm.
I, for one, play in a situation where I have to use pickups with as little noise as possible. So for the last decade, I've used several different noiseless type pickups. EMGs. I'm using DiMarzio Area 60 and something or other. SENs. So I really like the fact that they're dead quiet because it allows me to really color it. You know, so it's fairly transparent. I can color it with whatever effects I want. Which is great.
Would you say it's a nice platform for effects?
Yeah, it's great. I would tend to agree with you that maybe I would say if it's just a totally clean amp, it might come across to traditional Strat players as sounding a little anemic. I, for one, always have some sort of boost or some sort of overdrive. Even if the overdrive gain is all the way off, it still helps to fatten up the tone a little bit.
Yeah.
And I would say that yes, if you're not using effects, it's a little anemic. So,
like for instance, my 75 Strat, the pickups are very responsive, and part of it, I suspect, and I've heard this before, I'm kind of learning about it, is they weren't properly potted, and so they're very expressive. So when I hit a note, depending on how hard I hit it, or how I pinch the note or fret the note, it really speaks, and I like that. I like that a lot. These pickups, for me, don't quite have that quality. But again, with some good effects and the right volume, beautiful, beautiful sounding guitar. And beautiful pickups.
You know what I'd like to find out from any of the people that you speak to on the forums is if these pickups behave the way other noiseless pickups, specifically DiMarzio's. I don't know quite how the N3s are. I don't own any guitars with N3s, but I know the DiMarzio's, the closer to the strings you put these noiseless pickups, the more compressed it sounds.
More punch.
It's just they even put it in their literature for their stacked coil, their noiseless pickups. They're very much influenced by pickup height. So I'm wondering how these guys compare.
You know, I don't know. I hadn't known. Speaking of tone, and this was one area that I find that, and I could be wrong, but it seems like tone knobs have a tendency, especially with Fender tone knobs, they have a tendency to be, and I don't know about modern tone knobs, but Fender tone knobs have a tendency to be either all the way or not enough. You know, like the roll off is very, very abrupt. That's the word I'm looking for. And so it's very abrupt. And so with these knobs, when I'm using the cut ability, it seems that kind of abruptness. So if it had more of a gradual taper, I think, from my perspective, I think that would be more useful.
Probably.
And I don't know if it's that I need to mess with the dip switches and see if that changes things. But that was one area that I felt like the guitar could use a little tweaking. Other than that, I think this is a splendid instrument that will be great live or in the studio. Again, you're not going to rush on stage and change out the card right in the middle of a set. This would be something you do. Would you agree, like during a break?
Yeah, during a break, or if there's an opportunity where the singer or perhaps the drummer, if the singer wants to speak to the audience or the drummer wants to take a solo, it really is a very fast process. I can imagine if I had to do it over and over, I could probably get it down in less than 5 or 10 seconds. 5-10 seconds at the most to swap it out.
Now, speaking of that, the door on this does come off. It does come off. It's hinged, but it's not locked in place. So I don't know if that's something you want to take that off. It would certainly make the cards go in and out quicker because the door kind of sticks a little bit. Overall, I think that's about it. I do wish that it came on a rosewood fretboard. Am I missing anything?
No, I mean, I generally over the last 10 years I've fallen in love with the oversized 70 headstocks, and I don't know that I would even want to see this in an oversized paddleboard sort of headstock. I really like it the way it is. So, I mean, maybe the saddles. I kind of like the original
80s, 1980s,
80s, 90s American Standard saddles with the pressed powdered metal saddles. I like what that did to the tone. And again, that goes back to the whole. That's not a traditional Strat sound. Well, that's the sort of Strat that I bought. Yeah. My first Strat was a Standard. Right. So for me, that is a Strat.
Exactly. Now, you had mentioned something, and I forgot to point out earlier, like on all the modern American Fender guitars, I believe all of them, the front of this is a gloss, high gloss clear coat, and the back is kind of a smooth, almost
Satin.
90s satin finish. And a lot of players like that. I was a little, I'm used to either nitrocellulose or the satin finish. So when I saw this high gloss, I thought that really looks pretty sharp.
Yep.
And Fender has done a wonderful job with the neck. Is one of the biggest advances in their guitars is getting the body contours back to a much more 1957 vintage style. And these necks with the rolled edges and the medium jumbo frets, Fender's done an excellent job. And I read a book recently where they interviewed people from Fender, and some of the people running the place said back around 2010 that, hey, we're slipping up here in some spots, and we need to fix this. And they did, and it seems like they've corrected their issues, because about that time I was checking out Fender guitars, and I noticed that there were a lot of flaws. And Fender had built itself up from the late 80s and had really made itself a premier guitar company again, and came back from the ashes. And by the mid to late 2000s, 2010 or so, I was starting to see sharp edges on the frets, poorly shaped nuts.
You could see a doctor about that, by the way.
And just production flaws, and good on Fender for getting there and fixing it. Did you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I do actually. I was looking at the strap button.
Yeah.
And that looks different from.
No, that came out with the American series Strat. Okay,
oh, wow.
So right with the American series, in fact, the first guitar I saw this on was my 50th anniversary Strat, American series Stratocaster. And it's indented, and the metal is kind of you can, I don't know how to describe that.
I don't know. It's
not
like
traditional.
It's not traditional, and it looks like the strap would have a harder time popping out of that than a traditional. The
mount is much more narrow, and it's a pretty good mount. It holds up pretty well. The only thing I want to add about this is the fact that this guitar is about 8 pounds. These are not light guitars as far as Stratocasters go, but does it really feel like 8 pounds to you?
I don't think it does. I mean, the only...
I think Sweetwater told me it was 8.3 pounds. And the nice thing is, with Sweetwater, you get some... by the way, I do not work for Sweetwater. They're paying me nada for this. I just want to thank them for getting me a really great guitar. They gave me care instructions because it showed up in the middle of really, really frigid, cold winter weather. And they told me, do not take this out of the box for a couple hours. And I followed their directions because I didn't want it to come out of the box and be messed up. Also, I didn't pay tax on this because Sweetwater doesn't charge tax. Yeah, I got to say, good job on Sweetwater. They're a bunch of great guys. And their sales department, they're all guitar players. They all love guitars. The whole staff is wonderful. Anyway, Mandy, do you have any last thoughts or comments to make on this fine guitar?
It's a very impressive guitar, very stable. I generally take sandpaper to the back of my necks, and I don't think that I would need this. I don't take the finish off, but I definitely make it more satin than normal. And this is really comfortable. Yeah. I like it quite a bit, actually.
All right. Well, that's Paris and Mandy for the American Dlx Strat Plus. Until we see you again, keep on playing.
All right.